Preparing to go live. There we go. And now I got to go into YouTube and unmute it. Otherwise, we'll be able to hear ourselves. This is the riveting part where people are tuning in. Hello, everybody. Oh, it is on mute. Perfect. Okay. Awesome. 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 So we're good to go. And I will record here. Excellent. Welcome, everybody, to Toastmaster Tuesday. Hello, Megan.
Hello, hello. How are you?
Very good. How are you doing?
Good.
Excellent. All righty. So today's theme, we came up with an impromptu theme after coming out of Mindshift Monday. So we're going to be doing, I forget, did we end up doing, did we get up to 5 minutes? Or are we still doing 3 minutes?
We're still doing
three.
Yeah.
Three. So we'll, yeah. Okay. 3 minutes. 3 minute speech. Toastmasters style, but we're doing Toastmaster, of course. And what we're going to be doing it on is how our values have developed from childhood till now. So we've kind of talked about that beforehand a few times in various forms, in different shows, about how these types of things change. Specifically, you learn what values are, and you sort of tend to adopt or adapt to your parents' values. And then there's a certain time in your life where you kind of go, oh, hold on, like, are those truly what resonate with me? And if not, what are the ones that resonate with me? So what else, how else would you word it?
No, I think you hit it on the head, right? It's about really diving deep into what we want to define as our own personal values, not those learned behaviors or passed down values. So it's a great conversation.
For sure. And of course, under this context, anybody that's tuning in for the first time that's not familiar with Toastmasters, all that. So basically what we're doing, we have this idea first, but it's basically to improve our public speaking, the idea of public speaking. So being given a time parameter, and what I'm going to do, so Megan's going to go first, and I have a little sign here, a little thumbs up, dude. So nice. Yeah, that's what I got from the Tony Robbins weekend. You guys do this a lot when you're dancing and such. So halfway through the 1:30, I'll throw up the thumbs up there. And then when it's time to come in for the landing with the last 30 seconds, which is always the most interesting because you want to try and end, they say pros own the clock, right? So then at the final 30 seconds, that guy goes up again, and then we see how it goes. And what we're getting judged on is accuracy, if we can end right on time. Obviously, how concise your speech is, and the landing words. So for me, that's a big one that I got to work on, the hockey player so like that kind of stuff. So those are the 3 big ones, and I'll set my timer. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay, cool. Give me 2 seconds. All righty, here we go. You start now.
Core values is something that I love talking about because it has been so transformative for me to really understand what is important to me and not just those ideas that were passed down to me. I come from a really large family, and my family helped raise me. I had grandparents and great aunts and uncles help pick me up from school. And so I was always around family, which I loved. I really enjoyed it, but I was always more of a quiet person. So I was kind of thrust into these loud environments a lot of times because there'd be like huge amounts of people there. All of our family gatherings were 20, 30 people, and it was nonstop. Every weekend was a family gathering, or we own beach properties, so lots of people would be out at the beach property on weekends and things like that back in BC. And I always felt a little uncomfortable. And I chalked it up at first to just being shy. But then I thought to myself, well, maybe there's more to it than being shy, because shy doesn't really resonate with me. And I started to reflect on the family members that I was around and whether or not they made me feel good and whether or not I enjoyed my time with them. Fast forward to when I moved away, obviously my circle got a bit smaller. The family that I was in contact with was more so my parents and my brothers and sisters, my more direct family members. And so I started to reflect upon, is family and having that family dynamic constantly around actually important to me? And when I reflected on the ones that I wasn't as in close contact with, I started to look at those relationships and evaluate them as to whether or not they were important to me. And when I started removing some of those people that I didn't feel very good around, I was able to realize that it wasn't so much that family is a core value for me, but connection is a core value for me. But choosing who I connect with is what was the most important for me, because of course I want to surround myself with people that support me and love me and make me feel good. And there's no, judgmental undertone to the conversations we have. And there's no judgment around some of the life choices or career choices I've made. So I had to kind of redefine what family meant for me, some of it being those biological family members, some of it being my chosen family. So family has actually shifted into connection being the core value for me, and knowing that I get to pick and choose who I connect with and be really solid in those connections that I make for myself, as opposed to those ones that are sort of forced upon me. Where did I land?
At 250. Yeah, 10 seconds left. Very good though. Because then you would have been like, and what, you have to like shoehorn another sentence in there. Awesome. Really good job. Very good job. No landing words. You just.
I heard myself say
Did you? I didn't hear any ums. Okay, maybe
yeah.
You must do it like very smoothly. There wasn't a very abrupt. Yeah. They're like, yeah, for sure. Nice. No, very good job.
For you. I'll just have to give you like an actual thumbs up.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. I guess. Yeah. Otherwise, yeah. Maybe you'll have to attend a Tony Robbins event, eh?
I know. The heck.
Yes.
My arts and crafts going or something.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, totally.
Are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay. And go.
So when we're speaking of core values, I'm going to jump ahead to just recently. So it's been like probably the last year and a half. I remember I was actually I was seeing a counselor probably 2 years ago. And that was the first time that somebody had brought up to me, like, what your values are. And I thought that was going to be such an easy thing. I almost thought it was like, it's so trivial. I'm like, why even bother? Like, it's just a matter of me, articulating a few words that really resonate with me. Like, I know me, I got a lot of self-awareness. This is not going to be a hard thing for me to do. And it was incredibly challenging. I had a piece of paper out and I was going to write it out. And I just started writing out some words that I thought would be my core values. And they were just words. They didn't really have that really powerful point of, resonance, I guess, with me. So it's, yeah, I had to do some backtracking. So that's what I did. And that's where my speech or story is going to go at this point. I went back to my childhood and what things really were in my head, because there's no way to hide it from a, when you're a kid. It's very present in your life. So for me, the first thing that really came to mind was a sense of security or certainty. I was raised in the same house from the time I was 3 years old until I was 17. And when my parents had divorced, they had decided that regardless of what happened, Josh and I were going to wait till I graduated from high school before they sold the house, because it was very important for us to stay in the house because everything else, it was in a state of flux and the divorce was fairly messy and just as divorces can be. And so both my parents decided it was okay. If nothing else, you get to graduate in this house. And then after that, you're on your own basically. So, and that was very much tested because my mom ended up moving away to Ashcroft. So my brother and I ended up staying in the house for my grad year, just me and him. So I was like 17 and he was 19 and we had no parents in the house. So it was really cool. So it's kind of a grow up fast, but getting up to no good, but not too, like I was generally a good kid, but I'm 17-year-old guy. Of course I'm going to get up to no good at times, but coming out of that was very much, and that's why I've always been in a house since then. It's been very much a big part of me to have security and a place to stay and some certainty and a place to just be myself. Oh man, this is going by quick. So yeah, security was a big one for me. But when it came back to it, like for what my actual values that I view or act through with this filter of, I came up with I had the 4 pillars that I've come up with. And this is just very recently. And it's growth mindset is the most important for me. Oh man, acceptance. Now I'm like, okay. What are the other 2? They've kind of changed, but it's like courage, something based on courage. It's time. Damn it. Oh, okay. it wasn't courage. What is it? Resilience. That's it. And sorry, I got to finish this.
Oh, yeah.
And see, there was like the one word I'm like, nah, not quite. And then there's like some kind of like underwriting word that still like leads to that. And that's what it was, resiliency. And man, apparently they aren't that important if I can't remember them. So yeah, growth, resiliency, acceptance, which I also acceptance. Surrenders to remind me about acceptance, what acceptance means. I still haven't been able to wrap my head around that one. That's why I want to go to. Oh, what the heck was the fourth one? Oh, balance, like balanced life, health. That means like temperance, like not too much, not extremes of anything, but good, healthy variety of stuff. So that's a good counterbalance to the dogs barking in the background. That's a good counterbalance to security and liking things consistent, also having some variety and balance to everything as well. So
nice. Yeah. When I do core values work with people, I find that it's the most helpful for them to write it down. There's just something that happens when people write it down versus having a conversation about it. Because it's like when you write it down and you look at it, it almost forces you to pause. And then you get a kind of a feeling with it as you look at that word. And that's when the thinking starts to happen around like, is family a core value for me? Or is this a core value for me? It's like the second you write it down and look at it, you get like this emotional or physical reaction to it.
100%. And that's what I meant when I was trying to articulate in mine is like, I felt it. I kind of had this feeling, but as soon as came time to actually, to your point, write it down, it just wasn't it wasn't landing. It wasn't resonating with me. And then that's what really set off that exact suggestion that I thought I was kind of dismissive of, with more or less was like a linchpin for like everything that I've done in the last year and a half. Like, because I'm like, if I'm not super, like the whole existential thing, like it led to all these other questions. I'm like, if I don't even know what my values are, like, what else do I not know about myself? Right. And it set off. So to me, that was almost like the planting the seeds for everything that I've done in the last year and a half, was realizing that I'm not super I have this like feeling, but I haven't been able to articulate it. And then when it comes time to articulate it, I'm not able to. And then when I put it down on paper, it's not resonating. And then I'm like, okay, well, this isn't really connecting with me, but it's something that I've been focusing on. So where did it come from? So that's from parents. And then, it's just like, it sets off this whole thing. But to your point, absolutely. You got to write it down and feel it and breathe it and feel it in your body that way. What else did you say that really was like, really, I like how you said, it's like, okay, it's not family. It's like redefining. It's not family, but it's not that far away from it. It's connection though. So it's like, it's in the same neighborhood, but it's not family, because there are certain, I think everybody can relate to, there's certain toxic family members that we can choose not to have in our lives. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I seemed to feel like family was a no matter what thing, and whether someone treated you poorly or not, the whole thing of like, well, their family was something that I seemed to come up against a lot in my upbringing. Whereas I kind of thought, well, if they're family, shouldn't that be the people that you feel the safest with?
Right.
And so, that's why connection just felt a little bit better for me when I redefined it, because definitely I want to connect with people, but I have friends in my life that I would consider family, Right.
Absolutely. That's cool. Yeah. It's all about, redefining it in a way that works for you, because at the end of the day, these are the words that, resonate for you. And that's like your filter. Like I'm curious what you think, but like, that's how I'm viewing my values, because there's principles, there's like key beliefs and such, but values are like those. And that's why I didn't want too many of them. I wanted 4, because the 4 pillars, right? And that's kind of what I filter my existence or my experiences through, is like, and that's how I can tell if I'm being authentic, is like, am I holding up my part of the bargain through these 4, powerful words that resonate with me that apparently I forgot, but you know what I mean? Like, so like, but that is my experience. They have to go through that in order for me that's like keeping me in check of it as far as being authentic.
And then when things don't feel good, in any kind of aspect of your life, it's really kind of an easy tool to pull upon to look at your values and then be able to see like, what is the trigger here, right? Am I unbalanced? Do I not have a feeling of acceptance? Or whatever the other ones are for you, right? Because it goes across the board, like personal relationships, work, whatever it is, you can kind of pull upon your values, and when something doesn't feel good, kind of pinpoint why.
Totally. And like, so for work, like growth was like everything else was growing, right? But it's like work was almost this time capsule, specifically that my last stop at Baseline, which literally was a time capsule, like
Literally,
the same
yeah.
people from 10 years previous, right? So that very much clashed with the growth part. And the growth part to me is the most exciting, because out of growth is like curiosity, enthusiasm, joy, all these other emotions that like I want to experience the rest of my life. That's so important. So that's where growth is like number one for me, and just continuing to learn, right? And then you don't have to worry about your brain going to mush, you know?
Yeah, no, totally. I think it'd be so interesting for you, or like for us to do together, if you had your core values and we wrote them down, and then I had you, like have another word for them, and see how that flows into your life. Because for a lot of people who have identified growth, when they're with me, adventure is very closely aligned to that.
Right. Sure.
So when you have new opportunities, right, you're growing, you're learning, but it's also like an adventure. So lots of people need that growth, whether it's in their professional life, but then they also need that adventure in their like recreation kind of life. So they love to travel and like go to new places and things like that. And the two really line up closely.
Definitely. Well, that's, and that, fantastic. I'd love to do that. The one thing that I think about with even with adventure is I think it ties in my other one, like the resiliency part, or consistency, resiliency, somewhere in there is kind of what are the values, but it would be like how that ties in. Crap. I'm off pace now. No, how it ties is like, damn it. Too many thoughts. With the adventure. Okay, that's what it is. So adventure, it's the difference between being fearful of change and welcoming change. It's like, instead of just like, oh crap, here it is, now I gotta like figure this out again, versus it's all part of the adventure. Like, there's an enthusiasm and a curiosity about adventure, right?
Totally.
You're not gonna have an adventure if you're like scared. You know what I mean? That's like, it's almost like something you're adverse to. Like, you don't want adventure. You're like, oh, I want to stay in my room and just like hide. Right. But if you crave adventure, that all those emotions like stem from that. And if that's your perception of change, that's part of the adventure, then man, it's such a leg up on everything. Right.
Totally. And that really ties into like what you were talking about last night, and just the power of language, because even when people say that they don't like change, which is like a valid thing I hear from a lot of people, I'll have them reframe it in the sense of like, so what else could you call it besides change? So calling it an opportunity or adventure, right? And like making it into something that's not fear-based. Totally.
Fantastic. I love it. Excellent. Another great episode. Okay. Now, you know what? So now we're going to do What If Wednesday. We had our first ever group What If Wednesday this past Wednesday. Yes. Yeah, literally it was. So that's why we did it. Yes. I'm getting confused because we're recording all these. The days are now literally blending together at this point. So yeah, we're going to do a What If Wednesday, but that was really cool. We'll reflect on that. More on that to come. We don't want to, go too far into that. We're getting ahead of ourselves, but thanks for tuning in to Toastmaster Tuesday. This is a fun episode. Thank you, Megan.
Thank you.
All right. And we'll see you on the next episode tomorrow.
Awesome. Yeah.
Okay. So at this point, yes, I believe I'll have to send you another email invite. So that'll also give us a chance to get out of our current duds.
Okay.
All right. I'll talk to you in 2 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. Bye.